Well, this is part two of the Ford 5-liter 302 rebuild. You can see now it's pretty much down to just the block. Everything's been fully removed. The pistons are here, oil pump there. Oil pan, oil pump, oil pickup tube. So did a little bit of cleanup on the block just to try to remove some of the surface rust and just make it a little nicer looking. And it's going to get painted at some point, so might as well take the rust off now before they get on these bores. I'll show you the bores. See if I can get my flashlight here. If you look at the bores look really good. They still even have their crosshatch on them from their original fabrication honing. So very, very happy with the quality of the block for this rebuild. So it's looking good. Fixing to take it to a local machinist. I'm going to get it bored 20 thousandths over. Hopefully that takes me up to about 303.5 or 304 on the displacement, somewhere around there. I'll have to do the math. I think it's 303.5. Every little bit we can reasonably get out. Was considering going 30 thousandths over, and just about weakening the block by boring it over. So I think I'll hold it 20 thousandths over for now. Get the advice from my machinist and see what he says. But it's looking ready. Did a little bit of work on the head surface. One or two things I didn't like on it. You'll notice right here. Don't think it's a big deal, but you'll notice right in there some raised areas there where I think the gasket doesn't fit there, but check with them and see, maybe they can deck it or something. Clean up that gasket surface a little better. I don't want a head gasket failure for sure. And also got a little bit of work yet to do on the timing cover gasket. Some places where we still have a little bit of gasket material, but I'm going to go ahead and let them boil it first, and then I'll finish cleaning that up later. I did pull the cam bearings out of it, so it'll be ready for new cam bearings when it comes back. Let me flip it here to the bottom side. Here you can see where the mains are. Didn't worry about cleaning any of the oil and varnish out of the inside. When they boil it, hopefully they'll get all that clean for me. Just mostly wanted to hit these surfaces that'll later be painted. I try to get some of the surface rust off. Here's where the oil filter goes. So it's clean enough. Send it off to get it machined. So hopefully next time you hear from us, we'll be starting to long block this thing. I've still got to make an order of pistons and bearings and those kind of things, and get them coming from Summit. And otherwise, though, I think it's looking real good so far. I'll update you again. Thanks. Next step, we got the heads stripped down, pretty well cleaned up, clean enough. Got the surface rust out of them and off of them, and most of the oil out of them. Let the shop finish cleaning those up. A little torn here, guys. I don't know exactly what I want to do. These are GT40P heads. You can tell there by the 4 bars that are cast into the end of the heads, both ends. And GT40Ps are about the best stock head Ford made for a 302. They've got nice CC numbers on the chamber head. They got some pretty optimal placement of the spark plug for firing. A lot of good qualities to GT40Ps. Probably the biggest limit to a GT40P is the size of the strength of the spring, but I was putting new double springs on here to meet with my cam specs anyway. But just concerned a little that they won't quite make the amount of horsepower I'm hoping to make with this motor. Bottom line is we may have more motor than we got air support, air and exhaust support. And so, I think at the end of the day, probably going to go ahead and get these reworked. I mean, worst case is that I get a motor that's capable to higher horsepower than the heads will allow, and in the future maybe I can get a new set of heads if that's the direction I'm going to take. But I'm going to talk to my machinist when I take it in, see what he says about it. There's a great shop called D's Cylinder Head Shop on the southwest side of Houston that took the heads for the 4.7 liter there, the Jeep motor, and I really appreciated quality work they did and how timely they were with it. So I'm going to ask them what they think. And one option is to do a full port polish. One option is to rebuild them as they are. Next option is to do a full port polish. And then the third option is you can actually oversize these valves and port and polish to new valve size. And I know they have the capacity to flow at pretty high numbers, 170, 175 SCFM, but it gets pretty costly and you start wondering, well, do I really want to do that, or do I want to go get a trick flow wedge, high flow swirl head or something? I don't know. We'll see. One thing that'll definitely have to happen to these heads if we reuse them in this application is this shoulder valve by the valve spring is going to have to be turned down so that it's give us a full flat spring seat for these double springs, and then also to accommodate the higher lift. When they turn down these shoulders, they'll also turn down the end of the valve guide by about the same dimension. Just needed for the clearance. Stock cam for this motor is 0.44 lift, I think, something around there. We're looking at this cam's going to give us over ½ inch of lift. So anyway, we're there. Here's the valves for it. They've all been cleaned up on a wire wheel. Don't know if I'm going to reuse them or not. Obviously, if I go up on size, I won't. Also, understand they have some Teflon seats for these things that are a little bit better than the stock part that goes with it. So the stock seal, excuse me, not seat, seal. So we'll see about that. The valve guides, I don't know. I didn't really evaluate them too much. We'll let our machinist tell us if that's a limit. Anyway, so these are ready to go. They'll go probably Tuesday. My valve springs, new valve spring caps, new valve spring cap locks should all be here on Monday or Tuesday. So I'll run these guys down to D's later this week and have them take a look, and we'll have a conversation and see what we're going to do with them. I told you the block was going. It's gone. It's at the machinist now. They can't board over until I get them the pistons middle of next week. They've been ordered. I'm just waiting on them. And so hopefully they've got to have it. They're going to have it boiled and otherwise tested out and ready to go. Just ready to be bored and honed. And then that'll be back. And hopefully with this part shipment, we'll have enough parts to at least long block it while I figure out what to do with these heads and get it done. So maybe we'll start long blocking next week, into next week, something like that, and see where we land with this motor. I like this motor a lot. I think it's going to be a really great addition to the F1 project, coupled with that transmission. And I did check. I think I talked about the bell housing. I did check the bell housing. Fits the block real well. It's also a metal plate that goes in there between the bell housing and the engine. I dry fitted those and they fit real well. So we're looking good. I got them all. Got all the gasket surfaces cleaned up. Probably see the intake side here. Got all that cleaned up, and so we're ready to go to the shop with these things. And things start coming back from the shop, we'll start putting together a motor. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.